And also with us today is Crissie McMullen, and she works with the National Center for Appropriate Technology for Grow Montana in Montana. And Crissie, I think, is fairly famous and well known for starting one of the first farm-to-college programs in the country, and a very successful one, and going on to organizing K through 12 as well.
So, my name is Crissie McMullen, and I work for Grow Montana, which is a coalition that's been working together since 2005, primarily to work on state-level policy. And the reason we chose policy as kind of our guiding force is not only that there are these policy barriers that different members of the coalition have been running into when they were trying to do on-the-ground local food projects, but also because we saw policy as an opportunity to reach beyond our individual people that we have been working with and our kind of local site-specific projects to kind of reach a broader audience and start talking at the state level about what we can do to really create a sustainable and vibrant Montana-based food system. So in 2007, we were really excited to have a law passed that gives flexibility to schools and universities and all public institutions to buy Montana-produced food. And the strategy we took for that was to create an optional exemption within the state's procurement law. So as most of you all know, if you all have a state procurement law, and for the most part it will tell you that you have to buy the very cheapest thing regardless of where it comes from. And so we wanted to give more flexibility. It's a yoga bill, we call it, to let the purchasers really pay what they felt like they could do for the locally grown food product. And we did it. We started that bill out of a need. That was that the University of Montana, which was the first farm-to-cafeteria program in Montana, and so he started it before this optional exemption had come along, and he was trying to get around the law all the time. He was just, trying to write bid specifications that really only a Montana producer could meet. And, and I was always helping him, yeah, we can make this work. And, at one point I kind of felt myself nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I'm like, this is kind of smells like graft here, actually. So we needed to legalize purchasing local, right? At the very least, it should be legal. And then also when we were talking to other institutions, particularly K through 12 institutions, they would say, well, the state law, says that I can't pay a penny more for a local food product, so my hands are tied. They wouldn't even really want to talk to us about local food purchasing. So we really needed to try and change that. We, talking about ways not to do policy, we also started our coalition in 2005. So we didn't even have a name for the coalition. And that was also on the first day of the legislative session. And we didn't have any materials or anything, but we still wanted to pass this law. And we just proposed a 10% preference for all Montana food products. And it didn't even make it out of committee. It was just didn't work out. But the good thing was that we did have enough testimony and we did have enough kind of enthusiasm show up to our one hearing that the State Department of Agriculture funded a study that we were able to do over the interim, which is a year and a half in Montana, to try and understand better the Montana institutional market, what really is the size, how much food are we talking about here, what really are the opportunities, and why is this worth pursuing for Montana food producers. So who was involved? The Grow Montana Steering Committee, this is mostly a lot of nonprofits that were the core founding members of Grow Montana. And one thing that I think is actually kind of interesting about this coalition is that they are people who, all of the members have been working together for actually many, many years in a whole bunch of different ways. So these were really kind of an all-star team of sustainable agriculture in Montana, and I felt really honored to get to work for them. And so the idea was that we would start with these kind of core relationships that were already there. There's already a lot of trust and already a good working relationship, and then expand outward from there. And that was really exciting, so that by the end, we ended up with all kinds of the traditional ag organizations, as well as more of the state departments like the governor's office and the Department of Agriculture and the Public Health and Human Services and so forth. You'll also see that the Food Corps sites were instrumental, because the Food Corps team is the team of 5 full-time AmeriCorps Vista volunteers that are each stationed at a different institution across Montana to help the institution buy more locally grown food. And it was just really helpful, actually, throughout the session to be able to have these examples of how a farm-to-cafeteria program can actually work, so that it didn't seem so abstract when we were talking about this idea. And they could actually come and testify, and we could say, look, these aren't criminals. You know, they're so innocent. So let's legalize this thing. Oh, and also you can tell that I'm working for a nonprofit because I didn't even write the legislators on here. And they were obviously involved in passing a law in Montana. Had some instrumental work there on their part. And we actually chose Republican Steinbeißer, representative who is a Republican, Steinbeißer. He's a farmer out in eastern Montana, and he turned out to be a great leader for us, and we can give a lot of credit to the NCSL for that, because they hosted a training for state legislators in Seattle, I believe, and brought them out and showed them what farm to cafeteria is. And so he came back from that training ready to go, and so we were able to work with him, and it was really good timing and a great conference, apparently. So there we are with our governor signing the bill. Yay!